I said, give me that. I said,
vieni con me, ti porterò lontano perché la vita è così bella e lo sai, e vedrai che troverò la strada per stare insieme a te.
During the EyeMalta exercise, when we were thinking of abstract photography, we tried to tap those subjects that make abstract photography closer to us as laymen, and also to try to understand what the photographer means by abstract photography. In many cases, catching the very specific detail of a larger object was the general subject used for abstract photos. In the sense, a close shot of a joint from a massive crane can be an attractive abstract photo. After all, it's all about color, attention to that detail, literally, and also some imagination, taking photos of mushrooms from a strange angle, using special colors, sometimes using some clever editing after the photo has been taken.
Okay, today we're at the Malta Freeport. It is an impressive place, huge machinery. I very much related to the Malta Dry Docks when we had been to the Malta Dry Docks. The place is somewhat different. The Malta Dry Docks, there was more grit, it was a dirtier place. However, there was much less activity. Over here there is a lot of activity. The gantry cranes are in operation. I'm unloading the containers from the huge vessels behind me. It is a perfect site for photography. Not just taking pictures of the operation and the goings-on over here, but also the certain details of things going on here, of cranes, for example, little details which could make a wonderful abstract photo.
The subject of this photo, Joe, is mushrooms. And we would like to look at photography from an abstract and arty point of view, where although I'm a layman, maybe I would try to have mini adventures with my camera. How do you go about? How adventurous are you with subjects?
Very. I was trained, and I still practice a bit as a painter and a graphic designer too. So I'm always on the lookout of new ways of expressing myself photographically.
So do these two skills actually complement each other in your
yes,
case?
very much, very much. Even if you go back to the jazz pictures, you know, even the black spaces, the lack of filling the whole picture with detail, it stems from.
So, for example, if you take this picture, which I mean, it looks like 3 ghosts. Where did you take this picture?
This picture was taken in Lithuania. These 3 figures are enormous. They're
huge.
statues. They're statues, and they're standing on the front door of the National Theatre in Vilnius. Again, this was taken on black and white film, but in actual fact, they do have gold masks on their faces. So what I did is, after scanning in the negative, I toned it blue, a slight blue tone, as you can see, and I gold toned the masks individually in Photoshop again.
But for example, I'm a layman. I mean, let's say I can't handle any software applications to enhance the picture after. Did you? Are they actually? I mean, for example, the use of the building there.
Yes, that was there.
That's
the only thing which I pasted in is the sky. This was taken about 6 in the morning before we left for the airport, because I had seen it the night before, and it was a dull grey sky. So I pasted in a different sky from another image, stretched it a bit to give the sense of forward movement of the statues, and that was it.
Can you explain how you went about creating these designs? What kind of equipment you used?
Basically, these are all taken through a microscope, and what they are is that they're basically a microscopic image that's flipped. So when you flipped in obviously Photoshop, photo editing software,
doubled.
So basically you get like a kaleidoscope effect. So once it's actually flipped and joined onto itself.
So actually the original photo was 1/4.
That's right.
For example,
yeah.
And then you.
So it kind of led me to the idea that when in any form of abstraction, there's kind of symmetry in non-symmetry. So basically, it's just a case of finding something and duplicating it, and then you actually find that kind of a lot of these, obviously from the concept point of view, is that life, there is order in all things in life. Basically, even something that appears totally chaotic, there is actually still order in it. It's just a matter of seeking out that order.
Did you try to, for example, what was the subject that you were actually taking photo of?
All sorts of different things. There was blood, there was insects, there was even sperm. There's like so it's all kind of different things.
What was this?
To be honest with you, I can't even remember what half of these are.
Yeah.
I've got literally hundreds of them.
I see.
So basically, I just simply.
This was a feather.
That was a feather,
Okay.
or at various magnifications. ranging from a 10 times magnification to about 1,000 times magnification. And basically what I did was just simply, I had an old adapter ring off a camera, and
Which would be?
in this case, this was actually a Canon,
Okay.
Canon camera.
No, the what equipment did you mention?
It was a Nikon microscope,
Okay.
right? And basically, and what I did, modified the tube on the top of it by putting an actual adapter ring from a Canon camera that I had, you know, that was kind of, lens was broken, so I took the actual mount off it,
I see.
and then actually put a Canon camera
So you
on it.
doctored the machine as well.
Basically, yeah, yeah.
John, at the Malta dry docks, you took photos of details, and actually this photo was also taken by Joe Smith in a different way. He took the two holes together. They're like squinting guys. Do you use detail to generate abstract photography?
Yes, detail and texture I think are a very good medium to create abstract photography. You can find texture and detail in almost everything.
For example,
Then it's just the way you use it, the way you use
Yeah.
the focus. You can be creative in your own way.
yeah, and
with-
at one point, this photo was also taken by Alan. Then there was a footpath, and the light was from the other side, and actually it brought out the patterns in the wooden floor, which was actually the top of a gate of a dry dock. And the effect of the sun on the grain and on the lines of the wood were impressive. This is Junaina Bay.
Junaina Bay.
This is Junaina Bay.
Infrared film again.
Infrared
That's
film.
why you get this lovely glow and the whitish skin and very dark skies. That's all the properties of infrared film.
Now these are very natural colors, I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
Um,
this is
So this, if I'm the layman, I can take this kind of picture because I don't need manipulation after.
exactly. I mean, this is all what was in front of me on the day. I was lucky enough to have, you know, all these primary colors in the picture.
What is the subject? I mean, in your mind when you look at this picture,
No,
is it the boy? Is it the window?
It's the whole combination of colors. This was a birthday party my son was invited to. He isn't my son, but and, you know, there's a huge field where the children can play, and there's like a tree house sitting in the middle of the field, and I saw this guy dressed in these red and blue clothes.
It's
And
actually part of the colors.
I asked him
The
to
colours.
pose for me, you know, looking out of the window, and there's a strong color statement.
Now, during the EyeMalta exercise, we went to the bottom of a dry dock at the shipyard, and there were these metal structures at the bottom of the dock that had holes in them. And you actually created, I mean, I would call this an abstract photo. You might call it a detail, or is it an abstract for you as well?
In essence, it depends how you define detail, and depends how you define abstract. And most people would define abstract when they don't know what it is. And in essence, I think a textbook definition of abstraction is when you reduce something to its essential elements, where you're basically just showing the actual form of a subject. That's when it's been abstracted. And in actual terms, you could really abstract anything at all in any type of photography. Usually, in a lot of cases, by abstracting, we usually go in closer, but a lot of it's to do with scale. So, for example, you could abstract a cliff face because obviously the scale is larger. It's obviously larger than say the microscope.
And you take a photo of a detail, and that detail, I mean, once you need to try to guess what it is, then it's an abstract.
That's right.
Actually, what impressed me was that, for example, at the Malta dry docks, there was somewhat little aesthetic to take photos of. There was more the metal and the elements that make a ship repair yard. But yet you managed to find the aesthetic parts in an environment that you normally would not link with aesthetics.
In a lot of cases, you know, one of the very first exercises that a student should do in photography is learn to abstract, and should learn basically to explore the subject matter. Because obviously it's a bit like meeting a person. If you just look at a person from the outset, you're just going to see the outline, you see the shape of them. As you would...
For example, this was another one. This was in
a horizontal format.
Horizontal form.
Yeah, so basically the more you actually look at something, the more you find new things about it. Now, on the outset, it's a bit like travelling to work each day. You just drive to work each day, you see the same things outside the window each day. So you get to the point where everything becomes so familiar that you don't bother to look anymore. It's only when you actually stop and analyse something and look at it, you know, and look at the detail in something that you can see new features that you wouldn't have seen from the outset.
This is obviously not taken in Malta.
No,
however,
this was taken
many
in
streets of Valletta would actually fit into this kind of...
This was last July in San Gimignano. We went for a day tour and we had a drenching there. But I mean, again, the old lady was going up the steps to church.
What I like about it is the lady holding onto the wall.
Leaning against the wall, yeah.
She was scared she'd slip.
And
But it reminds me of the part of Valletta that leads down to the Slima ferry.
Yeah.
There are some steps there that really would fit into
Exactly.
this kind of...
Again, this is
Dracula.
Certosa. This is close, just outside Florence, and there's a lovely monastery up there. And unfortunately, it was closed on the day. We didn't know about it after a long walk, but at least I got a picture back. So.
Yeah, but what I like about these pictures is, okay, take away the special kind of film that was used and whatnot. But for the layman, these are pictures that actually can be taken.
Exactly. Yes, of course. It's all a matter of finding the right viewpoint and to make it a bit more dramatic and exciting, you know.
I mean, this gate, the gate has an effect of...
Exactly.
It's almost saying it's open. Now this is something that you really had to be there in the right time.
Yeah, but it was happening all the time, you know.
It was
I
happening all
mean,
the
this is
time.
Siena,
Okay.
and there's a fountain there, central fountain, and the birds keep coming, and you know.
So it wasn't really a one-off
No.
situation.
No, it
You
wasn't.
could actually wait
They
for
keep
the
doing
next
it.
right
So
moment.
you have to see it. That's, you know, I mean, keep a lookout for what's happening. Again, this is one of my favorite. I'm doing a series on this. This was a shop of a master mask maker in Florence, and he even makes masks for the movie industry, in fact, and for the Venice Carnival.
But what I like about it is that you're not just recording the content of a show.
Again, this was all shot in black and white and hand colored. Every bit of it is hand colored individually on the computer in Photoshop. So I'm trying to do a series of that. The mushrooms again. If we go back to the previous shot, the other one. There you go. Again, a top shot from showing the bottom part of the mushrooms and the lovely texture. Side lighting.
So really, being arty is part of being arty is looking at something not only from the usual angle.
Again, exactly. I mean, although you're striving to be different all the time, you know, I mean, I think it's still a pleasing still life picture. What we did here was, you know, selecting this, leaving it in color, and the rest was changed to monochrome.
There is an interesting use of the rust.
Yeah, again, a very strong element of design in this picture.
I mean, concentric hose.
Again,
This was taken
from
at
the
the
dock
bottom
series,
of the
yes.
Malta shipyard.
Yeah, dock number 6.
Again, it's a place that you don't really happen to be there every
Every
day.
day.
And well, we had the opportunity
We were
to
the
be
privileged few, yes.
at the bottom of the dock.
Exactly.
Well, it does take an eye to notice the opportunity,
Yeah.
but actually I think it's the bridge between becoming an arty photographer, even for the, at least starting for the layman, it's the step forward to start creating
You know,
some interesting shots.
that's the beauty of this medium, and the danger, if you want, because, you know, I mean, it's instantaneous. I mean, you just put the camera to your eye, and, you know, it's so quick that might be a pitfall for somebody who's starting in photography. You have to think all the time how the picture will look in those 4 sides of the viewfinder. So you're selecting part of a whole all the time. So the immediacy of the process might be a pitfall for the beginner. Who, you know, we all went through that, but you have to slow down and you know, and pick your area carefully.
Yeah. So actually, stop to think before you take a photo.
It's a selection process all the time. You know, it's done everywhere. You know, in all the arts. Even when an actor improvises, he improvises parts which boost and enhance his performance. You know, I mean, same with a dancer, same with a...
At some point, I even saw photos that you took, for example, of floors of the wooden parts that were at the Malta dry docks, for example. Do you remember we were on the door of a dock? And actually, I mean, okay, this photo is raw, but I mean, you could see a pattern in somewhere where I wouldn't have.
A lot of that was to do with the angle of the sun at the time. The light basically was casting, you know, it was basically creating a lot of texture in the wood, and the way the shadows were kind of forming on it. So once again, it's just a case of looking. Now, if you're just looking straight ahead, then obviously you're not going to see what's around you.
No.
So you really, it's
but it does take an artistic eye to look at maybe what the layman would miss out on.
I think it's learnable, though. I don't think it's really an artistic quality. I think it's a case of really just learning to look. And I think as we get older, we don't look as much. You know, it's a bit like having a child, give them a toy and they'll just play with it for hours. You know, an adult gets fed up with it. It's like they get bored, so they move on.
li tgħin turista taqsam it-triq mhux tad-daħ. Lanqas li tgħinu jfittex restorant. Lit-turisti għejnhom u kulħadd imur tajjeb.